Okay, let's start with a question, maybe something to really think about.
Mm.
What if you're, diligently pursuing something important, putting in all the work?
Pouring your energy into it.
Exactly. Only to find yourself getting, well, sidetracked, maybe caught up in things that feel like valuable steps, valuable milestones even, but they aren't actually the ultimate goal, your deepest aim.
Ah, yeah. That's something that probably hits home for a lot of people, isn't it? You can achieve so much, look around, and then wonder, wait, have I been climbing the right ladder? Or maybe just stopped on the wrong rung.
Absolutely. And today we're doing a deep dive into an ancient text that offers this really powerful, but actually quite simple analogy to help us navigate exactly that.
Mm.
It's about discerning the real essence, the core of what you're doing, especially something significant like a spiritual path, versus all those appealing things that pop up along the way but are, secondary.
Right. And the source we're looking at is the Mahāsāropamasuttaṃ. It often gets translated as the greater simile of the Heartwood.
Heartwood.
Yeah, and it comes from the Buddhist tradition. It's a discourse given by the Bhagavad, the Buddha, in a place called Rajagaha on Gishakua Mountain.
And the backstory, the context for why this teaching came about is fascinating too. Apparently, it was prompted by something involving Devadatta, who was actually the Buddha's cousin.
Right, which really grounds it, makes it feel very human.
Yeah. And the text is super clear about why people would even start on this path. It explicitly says the motivation is escaping suffering. Being overwhelmed by birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure, and despair. That's pretty heavy.
It is, and the aim is just as clear, finding an end to this entire massive suffering.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to really unpack this simile, this layered analogy of the tree.
We want to help you identify what the text calls the Heartwood, that true, unshakable purpose.
And crucially, how to tell it apart from all those outer layers, the things that look like the real prize, but might actually distract you.
Okay, so let's start where the simile starts. Imagine someone who needs Heartwood. They understand its value. They know they need the core of a strong tree.
Right.
But in their first attempt, they go to this big, sturdy tree looking for that essence, but they just chop off the leaves and branches. The sakapalasa.
Just the outer stuff.
Yeah, and they walk away with that thinking, great, got it. Mistakenly believing they found what they were looking for.
Okay, so how does that translate to, like, the spiritual path or any big life goal?
Well, the text draws a direct parallel. It talks about someone, say, a family man who leaves home life to pursue a spiritual path. He's driven by that genuine desire we mentioned to end suffering.
Okay, good motivation.
Definitely. But then along the way, he achieves labhasakara siloka, which means gains, honor, and fame. People start respecting him. Maybe he gets donations, recognition.
Which doesn't sound bad in itself, right?
Not inherently, no.
Yeah.
But here's the trap the text points out. What happens next?
Ah, okay, so the danger isn't the gain itself, but...
Yeah, it's how he reacts to it. He lets this recognition sort of inflate his ego. He starts congratulating himself, maybe subtly looking down on others.
Thinking things like, oh, I'm well-known now, I'm influential. Unlike those other monks, poor guys, nobody knows them.
Exactly. And the source is blunt here. It says he becomes intoxicated and heedless. He gets complacent, basically. And because of that, he ends up still living in suffering despite the outward success.
Wow. So it's like grabbing the leaves and branches and thinking you got the whole tree, the whole point of the journey.
Precisely. What's really insightful is how it flags conceit, ego as the danger. These external things, they're appealing, sure, but they become a massive distraction if they puff you up and make you forget why you started to end suffering.
Right. Okay, so the person searching for the real Heartwood maybe learns from this first mistake. They need to go deeper.
So the next layer in the simile. This time, our tree cutter goes past the leaves and branches. He doesn't get hung up on just gains and fame. Instead, he aims for and achieves sila sampada. That translates to moral perfection or virtue, basically becoming really ethically upright.
Now, that sounds like a genuinely good goal, right? Surely that's closer to the Heartwood.
It absolutely is valuable, incredibly important on any path. But, and here's the recurring theme, the text warns about the same pitfall.
Don't tell me it's conceit again.
You guessed it. He might achieve this high moral standing, feel really good about it, and then find himself subtly judging others. Thinking, wow, I'm so pure, unlike those other folks who aren't quite there yet.
Ah, So even moral achievement can puff up the ego.
Exactly. And that self-satisfaction, that comparison, ironically pulls him away from the original goal again. It leads to heedlessness, a kind of complacency, and keeps him in that state of unease, of suffering.
So this is like taking the outer bark of the tree. The text calls it papika.
That's the one. It's closer, definitely a step deeper than leaves, but still not the core, still not the heartwood.
Okay, the pattern is definitely emerging. You get something valuable, but if you get self-satisfied, start comparing, you become heedless, and you're still stuck.
Nailed it.
So our seeker keeps going, deeper still. He gets past the leaves, past the outer bark, not caught up in gains or even just being morally perfect. What's next?
He achieves samadhi sampada. This means deep concentration, meditative absorption, really profound states of mind.
Okay, this has to be it, right? This sounds incredibly deep, very internal, potentially transformative, your mind super focused.
And it is incredibly profound, a huge step. But you can probably guess.
Let me guess. Conceit sneaks in again.
Bingo. The text shows how even this deep meditative experience can become another attachment point. He might get proud of his concentrated mind.
Thinking my mind is so unified and calm. Look at those other monks. Their minds are all over the place.
Exactly that pattern. Praising himself, looking down on others, becoming heedless, complacent, and still living in suffering.
So this level is compared to taking the inner bark, the takai.
That's right. Getting closer, but still bark, not wood.
It's a really consistent warning, isn't it? It doesn't matter how deep or profound the achievement seems, it's the attitude towards it getting puffed up, comparing. That's the real trap.
It's incredibly subtle sometimes.
Okay, but our tree cutter is persistent. He doesn't stop at gains, morality, or deep concentration. He keeps going and attains. What's the next layer?
Idasanai. This is often translated as knowledge and vision, or insight. Real understanding, seeing things as they truly are.
Wow. Okay, knowledge and vision. Insight. That really sounds like the peak. Surely this is the Heartwood.
It certainly seems like it, doesn't it? And it's undeniably a very high attainment. But the text still warns us.
No. Even insight can be a trap. How?
The danger lies in becoming self-satisfied with that knowledge. Proclaiming, maybe just internally, I live knowing and seeing. These other monks, they don't get it. They live not knowing and seeing.
So even profound wisdom can become like an intellectual trophy.
Kind of, yeah. If he clings to this insight with a sense of personal accomplishment, feeling superior to those who haven't reached it, judging them, he risks becoming heedless again. He misses the actual final goal.
And this layer, this near miss, is compared to taking the figu, the sapwood.
Exactly. Sapwood is valuable. It's right next to the heartwood, essential for the tree's life in a way, but it's still not the durable, unshakable core itself.
Okay. This is quite something. So if even fame, morality, deep concentration, and profound insight can all be potential traps if you cling to them with conceit and become heedless, what on earth is the true Heartwood? What's the actual goal this whole path is pointing towards?
Right. This is where the sutta delivers its core insight. The person who truly gets it, who's really seeking the Heartwood, doesn't get attached or conceited about any of those earlier stages. They achieve them, perhaps, but they aren't self-satisfied. They don't praise themselves or put others down. Crucially, they remain heedful, aware.
Okay, so they keep going until...
Until they achieve what the text calls asamaya vimukha, timeless liberation.
Timeless liberation. Or it's also called akupacita vimutti. Right?
Exactly, the unshakable liberation of mind. That is the Heartwood.
Unshakable.
Yeah, and the text is emphatic here. It is impossible, monks. It is not to be for that monk to fall away from that timeless liberation. Once you reach that, you don't regress. It's the essence, the finality.
So the analogy completes itself. The wise person seeking Heartwood goes past the leaves, past both layers of bark, past the sapwood.
And cuts out only the Heartwood itself. They recognize its unique ultimate purpose. They see the value in the other parts, sure, maybe for other things, but they know only the Heartwood serves the real reason they went to the tree in the first place.
So the Mahāsāropamasuttaṃ is basically saying, look, this whole holy life, this brahmacharya, it's not ultimately for getting famous or respected. It's not just about becoming morally perfect as an end goal. It's not just for achieving deep meditative states. And it's not even just for gaining profound wisdom and insight, if that's where you stop.
Precisely. It is, as the text clearly states, for akupacita vimutti, the unshakable liberation of mind. That is the purpose, the sara, the Heartwood. and the paryosane, the finality of the whole path.
The goal you simply can't fall away from because it's beyond the conditions that cause falling away.
That's the idea. It transcends all that.
Okay. So as we sort of wrap up this deep dive, let's just quickly reflect on that journey through the tree. From the leaves and branches through the outer and inner bark, the sapwood, right to the core.
It's quite a progression.
Yeah, and we've seen how easily even really valuable attainments gains, ethics, concentration, insight, can become traps. Not because they're bad, but because our reaction to them, that tendency towards conceit, self-praise, judging others, becoming heedless, that reaction keeps us stuck in suffering.
The central message really is a call for radical clarity, isn't it? The real aim isn't just to get something, even something profound. It's to arrive at a state of mind, a way of being that is fundamentally unshakable, timelessly free.
Yeah, it's not just another step on the ladder. It's realizing the whole point of the climb.
The unshakable liberation of mind. That's the essence, the Heartwood, the ultimate point from which you just don't fall away.
So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to take away from this. How might this ancient wisdom, this tree simile, actually apply in your own life right now?
Yeah, in whatever you're pursuing, personal goals, professional ambitions, maybe a spiritual path.
Are you, perhaps without realizing it, collecting the leaves and branches? Or maybe you've reached the sapwood, something really valuable, but are you mistaking that for the ultimate heartwood you truly seek deep down?
It's a challenging question. What does that heartwood actually look like in your own deepest aspirations? And perhaps just as importantly, what might be distracting you from it, even if those distractions seem worthy or valuable on their own?